generally occur, and which is the norm in this part of the world. But with the weather conditions, and we know there have been weather alerts already with regard to more thunderstorms being on the way, it does create havoc, it does create damage to property. And that is the reason why we are talking insurance, because over the past weekend, we've seen heavy rains and winds in various parts around the country. The key question that we need to ask ourselves is how do you manage it from an insurance perspective? And we are now talking to Yunus Nana, who is a manager at Ammanah Islamic Financial Solutions. Yunus, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for the invite, Inayet. Really appreciate it.
Yunus, normally we don't take heed about insurance, and sometimes we take out these policies, and we tend to forget about it and say, you know what, we are okay, we are covered. But it is only when disaster strikes, when we have, like for instance, what has happened over the weekend, the heavy rains and winds, and we see damage in various parts around the country. That's when we start looking at the fine print, and we look at the we start to try and understand what we covered for, what we are not covered for.
Absolutely, absolutely. The past rains that we had over the weekend that just passed us now, we make Allah shukr that at least we had the downpour that we were waiting for. But obviously, in terms of flood damage and storm damage to houses and stuff like that, that's always a big problem. And most important of all is the maintenance on the roof that we should carry out at least twice a year, because wear and tear and maintenance is not covered by any insurance company, unfortunately.
Yes, I think what you say is very, very important, because, as I said, is we automatically assume that we are covered, but we don't know that, when we obviously put through the claim, whether we are going to be paid out. And that is where the surprise element comes in, and that is where it becomes very, very unpleasant, Yunus.
Unfortunately, you are correct there. That is why it is very important to at least carry out the maintenance on your roof, twice a year. Gutters, downpipes, all that should be cleaned out with all leaves and debris, because that is where our problem is. If those things are sort of stuck in our downpipes, we have a problem with water flowing out from your gutters. With the result, it can sort of seep in through your roof and causing extensive damage inside your home, especially with the ceilings getting damaged together with walls, etc.
Just apart from maintenance, what are some of the common, mistakes people make, and things that, possibly knowingly or even unknowingly, people tend to ignore? So, when the time at the time when they put in the claim, that is when, as I mentioned, the surprise element actually comes in, and they find that they are not suitably covered, and they end up paying out of their pockets.
Gee, absolutely right, absolutely correct. We tend to have this common problem where we sort of go and view a home, or we live in a home, for example, and we just look at what is inside the house, the beauty of the house itself. We don't take the opportunity to have a look to see what is going on top of the roof. At least that should be done, like I say, twice a year. At least go up onto the roof, have a look, see if all your membranes and roofing is in order, together with the roof, the nails, the screws that are there. They always tend to come loose with the winds that we have. So with the result, if we check on this regularly, you won't have this problem of having storm damage trouble on your roof. And with the result, at least you can avoid, the surprise, and also avoid the roof from deteriorating. Obviously, if you keep a check on it all the time.
Now, Yunus, just looking at it from Ammanah's perspective, and when people take out policies or insurance policies with Ammanah Islamic Financial Solutions, in terms of providing them with guidance or possibly even a checklist, attached to the policy, would that be an idea?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is an idea. And that's also what we also advise clients, especially when they're taking out a home policy, in other words, for their building. These are the important checklists to check. And we always advise clients that these have to be checked regularly. And because maintenance wear and tear is definitely not covered. And this should be sorted out even before you look at insuring a home.
Definitely. Now, also, I think another important aspect is making sure that you are adequately covered. Because,
That's also,
yes, okay, go ahead, Yunus.
no, that's also, sorry, I cut you in there. My apologies on that. Like I said, yeah, it's always important to make sure that you are adequately covered, because underinsurance can cause problems in terms of paying out a claim. So it's very, very important to note that the property is covered for the correct value. You don't want to be overinsured and you don't want to be underinsured.
Mm. Now, what are some of the key issues there or that people need to consider in terms of, making sure that they're adequately covered?
Based on the value of the home, obviously, if you are bonded, if the premises is bonded by a bank, obviously they can give us more or less a guideline as to say what the value of the property will be. Alternatively, you can always get hold of a property valuator if the property is not being bonded, and you got to pay that extra amount of money just to make sure that if he tells you that the value of the property is 4.3 or 2.0 or whatever the case may be, then we can insure it for that particular amount, because underinsurance is always a big problem in terms of where a claim is instituted. And we have this problem of, for example, let's assume you've got 100,000 rand. Your property should have been insured for, let's say, 200,000 rand. They will pay you half that amount. So obviously that becomes a bit of a problem in terms of underinsurance. It is always very, very important to note the correct value of the home itself.
Right. Now, just also related to things like a damage, and particularly when we look at us up here in Gauteng in terms of the thunderstorms and lightning, and apart from just the property, we're talking about equipment in the house, electronic equipment, computers, telephones, printers, microwaves. These are obviously all your Wi-Fi, possibly, your router. These are items that generally can get damaged as a result of the weather conditions, and particularly when it comes to lightning and lightning damage. So there again, I suppose, Yunus, there are some considerations that people need to take into account.
Yes, absolutely, especially when there's heavy lightning, stuff like that, and the wind howling also. We've been experiencing sort of high winds in the last 2-3 weeks. And also the lightning, when that is also sort of simultaneously with the rain that we're experiencing. It is always better to make sure that all your appliances and stuff in the home, for example, the Wi-Fi, your TVs, your decoders and stuff like that, must be switched off or rather unplugged. That would be better, because it can cause lightning damage to that particular unit, unfortunately. And that can also be very, very costly. So it's better to sort of unplug all these devices, especially when there's a hailstorm and heavy lightning.
And just how does insurance actually look at lightning damage to equipment?
Well, they'd always ask for a damage report on that, and based on the report that is sort of submitted to us, and the claim is then paid on that. So depending on what type of damage it was, always very important to note that if it was lightning, and was there lightning on that particular day or that particular evening or that particular night, that is very, very important also to note.
Right. Now, Yunus, just what sort of advice you get to people who obviously possibly may not have insurance or who need to review the insurance at a time like this? Now that we've had this experience over the past weekend, what sort of guidelines can you provide?
Look, they can always contact Ammanah. We can always advise them which way to go. Obviously, content is very important, like you mentioned earlier. Those are the items in your home which can get damaged. Also, in terms of storm damage when there's heavy lightning, like your fridges and your refrigerators and stuff like that, freezers, which we Muslims have plenty in our homes, unfortunately. But it's something that we need to always consider, especially when there's heavy lightning, to make sure, like I just mentioned earlier, to make sure that the units are all sort of unplugged.
Right. And for people wanting to contact you?
They can contact us at Ammanah, and we can then guide them along as we go. And obviously, the right advice will be given to them, and also the guidance will be given to them at the time when they sort of take up a policy with us.
Right. And all the details are on your website?
Absolutely. You can contact us on our website and our telephone number, which is 011-837-7865. And they can contact, they can contact us on our website or via email. I can give them the email. It's info@ammanah.co.za.
And that's AMMANAH.
AMMANAH, correct.
Okay, perfect. Well, Yunus, Jazakallah so much for that and for your time with us this morning and sharing this all-important information and advice with our listeners this morning. We wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you so much for having us on your show.
Yunus Nana, manager at Ammanah Islamic Financial Solutions this morning, and something that we need to think about considering the damage that has taken place over the weekend. And believe me, this is not the last storm that we will be seeing.
After all these years, millions of Syrian refugees and displaced persons